What up, YouTube? It's your boy Ghost. I'm coming to you from the TA in Tonopah. So while I'm sitting up here getting, getting ready for them to fix the tandems on this damn reefer, because going back into Cali, I'm past the 40-foot mark, and I ain't trying to get a ticket because I already know for a fact banning going westbound is always open, and I don't need to get a ticket, especially under my own authority. So, or a level 1 on top of that, and inspection plus a ticket, I'm cool. So while I'm sitting here, I'm gonna do a little Q&A. I'm gonna read off of my work phone a lot of the questions that people have been asking me. I've been so busy that, I've kind of replied back to them in the comments, but I'm actually going to reply back to them in the video. So first question is coming from Daniel Ferreira. He asked me, how do you get into bidding on contracts? To answer that question is this: it depends on what you're going after. Like for FedEx, for instance, I had to actually email somebody, and then I had to jump through some hoops to actually figure out how to get into the bidding process. So once I figured out who I needed to talk to, they sent me a list of lanes that they currently had available. And anybody that knows me knows I love I-10 and I-40. So since from the beginning of time, when I first wanted to get into driving, I always wanted to run California to Florida. That was like my dream lane to run, either California to Florida, California to Georgia, because that's just that to me was just like my dream of being a truck driver, just running I-10 or I-20. So make a long story short, that's how I got into bidding for the FedEx contract. Was they sent me a list, I put in my offer for it was like originally like 3 lanes, and they actually gave me the Ocala lane, so I was happy about that. It's actually Ocala and Pompano Beach, which is Miami, but Pompano Beach is, every now and then they really don't give those to contractors. They give those more to like the actual FedEx contractors and the pups. And then since I used to work there, I also had, an inside plug back then too, so it just helped out a lot with that. All right, so somebody said, can you make a video? Black Queen Status asked me, can you make a video on how to get contracts? I am interested in government contracts. Honestly, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, but at the same time, it's still a process, because for one, it's a lot of, I would say, footwork that you have to get into. Like for me, if I know for a fact I want to get a direct shipping contract, or I want to put in a bid for a contract, like government contracts, you're gonna need a DUNS number, and then you just have to figure out, like for me, I run dry van, or now I run reefer too. So you just have to look into like government contracts for either dry van and for reefer, and then you just got to do, the footwork on how to, or who to talk to. Most of the time, if you call somebody and you speak with their transportation department, it's mostly the transportation manager, the logistics manager, somebody with that's the terminology that those departments are used or are called. 9 times out of 10, if you call and ask around for either their transportation manager, the logistics manager, somebody that deals with shipping and receiving of freight, you can basically plug in and you can get contracts that way. Or you can find people to talk to, the right people to talk to, and then they'll let you know like the gist of, the meat and potatoes, actually how to set up with them. So I hope that answered the question. Hi Ghost, will you do a video on how to put together a direct shipper bid for lanes? Please and thank you in advance. That comes from Bianca Leon. Yes, I will answer that in 1 second. All right. When it comes to putting in bids for direct shippers and stuff, it's somewhat simple. You, like I said before, you just have to have all your ducks lined up. Like for me, I've gotten a couple direct shippers, but that's just because for me, I have a trailer pool. A lot of the direct shippers that I've been running into, they want a trailer pool. They want you as the carrier to be able to drop trailers to where they can load their material up, and then you have your trucks come in, grab them, and basically move them out. But it all depends. You just have to call these places, like most of the big shipping companies, or most of the big companies like Lowe's. We'll use Lowe's and Home Depot, places like that. They want you to have a trailer pool in order for them to even give you a contract. They want you to be able to drop at least, we'll say, 5 trailers in a week, and boom, and then they'll basically grant you, they'll basically talk business with you. They'll talk numbers. So a lot of the direct shippers, they want a trailer pool. If you don't have a trailer pool, don't even really think about going after the big boys, because that's what they want. And they want like a one truck and trailer operation. It's gonna be a lot harder to gain certain direct shippers like with the big boys, because you're just a one-man operation. They can basically go through a broker, and a broker has access to tons of trucking companies. So I hope that explains it. For me, I have a trailer pool. I have access to a huge number of drive-ins, and I have access to, well, I'm gonna be getting access to reefers now. But like I said before, I'm still testing the waters with reefer, because this is, something I'm just getting into. So, I'm gonna it's a lot of trial and error that I have to go through myself before I can basically start my trailer pool with reefers. But when it comes to drive-in, yeah, I have a pretty large trailer pool, and that's just because, I got plugs on trailers like for days. So that's one reason why it's so simple for me to get direct shipping contracts, is because I'll call someplace, like for instance, General Mills. I called them. I actually set this contract up back in February, and I told them I will drop 10 trailers at your facility every week, and I'll have 10 drivers come pick them up. As soon as I told them that, basically they granted me the contract like immediately. But that's just because I have that trailer pool. Without the trailer pool, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And at the same time, I have access to other carriers too that I can basically have pull loads for me, which I do it all the time. Let's see, let's read a couple more. Somebody asked me, this may be too much of a personal question, but how much do you make a year on average with your trucks? This is Masters of YouTube. To be honest with you, I just started, my authority just went active in September, so I'm not even up on a year yet. So that's not a question I really can answer, because like I said before, it's just been since September. I can give you an idea that, my trucks, they're grossing between, I would say right now with what I have set up, we're probably doing about between 50 and 75K a month. So right now we're doing really good. But like I said before, that fluctuates because the seasons. Slow season, it was horrible. Both trucks probably did about 20K for 2 months straight. It was horrible. Worst time of my trucking career. And I learned a lot from that too. I learned a lot to prepare for next slow season. Yeah, next slow season is gonna be a whole lot better. Let's see. Somebody asks, how much startup capital do you recommend if you plan on starting out with one truck, leasing it onto a carrier and hiring a driver. This is from DMC, or D, capital D, M, lowercase c. If you're gonna lease a truck onto a carrier, to be honest with you, if you're gonna lease it onto a carrier, the startup capital, I would say you probably need about $5,000 to lease it onto a carrier. Because when you really think about it, if you have any type of situations where you have a breakdown, 9 times out of 10, if you're leased onto a carrier and you're pulling that carrier's loads, they may or may not fix your truck. And then they might just bill you later. I know Prime does that, where if you have an issue with the truck, Prime will basically fix the truck and then take it out of your settlement. So, I mean, startup capital, I would say you probably need about $5,000 if you got a used truck. About $2,500 if you got a brand new one. And that's just being honest. Like, you can have $25,000, $30,000, but being realistic, it's like, realistically nowadays, it's hard for people, especially if you got a family and everything else, to have that much money saved up. So to be realistic, you probably need about $5,000 if you're gonna be leased onto a carrier. Because in all honesty, I mean, that carrier may or may not help you fix your truck if you break down. But that's just my honest opinion. Like I said, it is what it is. That's just me. I think that's all the questions for that video. Let me go to one more video, and then, you know, we will